morning. Welcome to Light and Life, program for the third age, coming to you from Melbourne, Channel 31. I am Mihiri Dissanayaka. Light and Life offers information for mature age people on their interests such as relationships, health and well-being, spirituality, personal growth, and entertainment. Today's discussion will focus on new trends, developments and research in the field of science and technology, presented by Bandhu Dissanayaka and Kingsley Edrivira.
Let's start the discussion with a subject which is very close to your heart. I know you're very passionate about the environment. There's some good news about the environment, isn't it?
Yes, Bandhu. Recently, researchers have found that the ozone layer, which protects the Earth from the ultraviolet rays, is now starting to thicken. Now, this is after years of depletion. Now, also, the ozone hole, which appears over the Antarctica, is not getting any bigger. So that is really, really good news.
Which is, we have to give the credit to the industry and the scientists for educating the public and the other industrial laws and so on, which has contributed to this, isn't it?
That's true, Bandhu. The thing is that the use of chlorofluorocarbon, which is CFC, was the primary cause of the depletion of the ozone layer. Now, in 1987, the Montreal Protocol banned or phased out the use of CFCs. Now, CFCs were used for refrigerants, propellants, and aerosol cans, like spray cans and things like that. So this is really a good environmental success story.
Yes, so it's a good news, and let's hope the industry keeps their standards so that the level of the ozone layer is getting improved.
That's true. It's very important, Bandhu, because the ultraviolet rays is the primary cause of skin cancer. And we who live in Australia, know that the incidence of skin cancer in Australia is extremely high. So this is very, very good news.
Okay, Kingsley, now let's go on to another subject. See, I've seen some research papers where they have developed some prototypes to harness energy from the body movements. Of course, this is not something new. I mean, ages ago, I know, we've been wearing wristwatches where they are powered by the action of your wrist. Isn't that so?
That's true. Actually, there are two types of studies which have been done. Some Canadian engineers have found that there was a chin strap, and just the action of chewing is generating energy which can power electrical gadgets.
Yes, actually it's using the piezoelectric effect. Some material, when they're stretched, they generate electricity, and this is a harness to wear in your chin, and that will generate enough electricity to power various, like hearing aids and other devices which are implanted for heart monitors and that sort of thing, isn't it?
That's true. And also there is a separate study done by some American scientists who found that energy can be generated through a substance called lactate. Now, lactate is what you find in the human sweat, in the human perspiration. And this has been, a lactate sensor has been printed onto tattoo paper and put on the arms of people, some volunteers, and they found that it generated energy.
So which means, Kingsley, your trip to gym is not only good for your physical well-being, it may even charge your mobile phone.
That's true, Bandhu. Only thing is that I couldn't, I thought it was a little humorous when I read the article, because it said that people who are unfit will generate more their lactate levels will be higher, and therefore they can generate more energy. So I thought to myself, well, there it goes. I'll be able to generate more energy than you.
Yeah, and going back to your other story, Kingsley, the chin strap, where chewing generates electricity. In his heyday, Sir Vivian Richards would have generated enough electricity while batting to electrocute the ball, isn't it?
Well, every time you see him, he's chewing.
That's right. So, Kingsley, the other thing is that at the beginning of this month, around 7th, there was an asteroid flying past the Earth, very close to the Earth over New Zealand on the 7th, which was, it didn't pose a big danger to the Earth because it was how many miles?
It was something like, I think, 40,000 kilometers away from the Earth's surface.
Yeah.
And the thing is that they believe that the meteorite which affected Nicaragua, which I think created a massive hole there, was part of this maybe asteroid,
Maybe a chip broken off from
That's right. You see, asteroids, Bandhu, are really planets or smaller planets which are in the inner solar system.
That's right.
And meteoroids are debris from these asteroids.
That's right. So actually, NASA is tracking about 18,000 asteroids, so that they can track whether they are going to pose a danger to our Earthlings here. And there's another story which we can touch on, that they have found an exoplanet, isn't it?
They have found a planet, Earth-like planet, out in space. It's called Kepler F-186. Now, this planet orbits around a star which is similar to our sun.
Yeah.
The only thing is that star, which gives it the light and the energy, generates much cooler effect on the planet.
You see, the scientists are interested in those exoplanets in the habitable zone, which are not very close to the host star, because it can get very hot and evaporate the atmosphere. And on the other hand, it can't be that far away, because
it'll freeze.
Be like the ice giants you find in our solar system, like Uranus.
Yeah, only thing is that from what I read, that Kepler F-186, the distance from that to its star is a lot closer than the Earth is to the Sun. So when it rotates, that it's bound to rotate slowly or slower than the Earth.
Right.
So they say that the day, which is our day, is 24 hours, which is the solar day,
right.
That the Kepler day might be weeks or even months long.
That's right. Actually, it's very interesting, Kingsley, how they find these exoplanets. You see, because when planets move in front of the host star, when you're watching it, they watch for the dimming of that. It's a very periodic dimming. That's called the transit method of finding exoplanet. And also another method is that these planets and the stars, they rotate taking the center of gravity, one point as the center of gravity, and they rotate
That's right.
each other, and then that gives a wobble and to the bigger star, the host star too.
Yeah.
And they measure that, and that's how one of the ways that they find these planets.
Bandhu, it's a good discussion we had, especially about the environment and the ozone layer. But before we sort of finish or wind up, I think we should remind ourselves that the depletion of the ozone layer, or the effect we have on the ozone layer, is not what we talk about, or not the common debate about climate change or global warming.
Yeah, that's right.
Because global warming and climate change are completely different, because global warming is happens because of the release of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, and where it's trapped into the atmosphere, which heats up and has an effect on land and the ocean.
So we can talk about the greenhouse effect some other time.
Okay.
So let's wind up with this.
It's a good discussion. We should do this more often.
Okay. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Bandhu.
Hope you enjoyed the program today. Till we meet you again from another program on Tuesday, 9:30 a.m., I'm Mihiri Dissanayake.